the Gorsuch hearing, of course, did not get the attention that it should have. It does not get the attention that it should from the left because for some reason on the left, we don't understand or appreciate the importance of the Supreme Court. Some people think it's just, you'll get through it, and don't appreciate the implications. Here is Jeff Perkins. He is the father of a child with autism. He was the plaintiff in the case brought in front of Neil Gorsuch's court 10 years ago. It was 2008, maybe 9 years ago, so 8 or 9 years ago, where Gorsuch wrote in his opinion that under the IDEA Act that basically provided with children with disabilities, that schools, public schools, need to offer services or compensation so that the kids can get services, so that children with some list of disabilities can be properly educated. There was a prior ruling about in determining what constituted properly educated in this case. And Gorsuch claimed to just be following precedent, but in fact, he redefined the precedent to be the only thing, the obligation that the schools have is to provide something just definitionally more than nothing. Literally, definitionally more than nothing. So just even if they showed up, even if it wasn't quality, it's fine. Now, understand that the agency that administered this program had determined, no, we have a higher standard than this. So this guy lowered the standard and said that the agency didn't have the ability to determine that standard. And that is what we talked about with the Chevron case. That's all the theoretical stuff. But listen to the implications of that Gorsuch decision, which he quite dubiously says was a function of precedent.
But this improved life for Luke was costly. Despite my comfortable income as a physician, Luke's education costs rapidly depleted our reserves. My parents contributed from their retirement savings. In 2005, we requested reimbursement for Luke's education under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. At a due process hearing, the independent hearing officer found in our favor. The decision was upheld both by an administrative law judge and a U.S. District Court judge. But when the school district appealed to the 10th Circuit, Judge Gorsuch authored the decision overturning these previous rulings. His legal reasoning set a new low standard of education required under IDEA as merely more than de minimis. De minimis, lacking significance or importance, so minor as to merit disregard. Judge Gorsuch felt that an education for my son that was even one small step above insignificant was acceptable. Despite Luke's inability to meet 3/4 of his educational goals or to use any of these skills outside the classroom, his education was judged appropriate. That left us only one real option. One of Luke's parents would have to move to a school district that would better accommodate Luke's educational needs. After much prayer and thought, my wife decided to permanently relocate. Thankfully, the Dedham School District acknowledged Luke's extraordinary needs, allowing him to finish out his time at Higashi. Now aged 22, Luke will always need support in a world that still seems perplexing and threatening to him, but his quality of life after 13 years of appropriate education is vastly better than it would have been otherwise. He cooks and does household chores. He is able to shop, work, eat, and play in the community. And he has developed a new passion, Legos. Luke's mind is uniquely attuned to this plastic brick world. He constructed this particular model this January. His present life would not have been achievable without an appropriate education. Thankfully, Luke is unaware of the price paid for his education. The financial cost pales in comparison to the human sacrifice. His mother separated from her 13-year-old daughter. His parents' marriage broken. He is also unaware of the key place that one judge, with his radically restrictive interpretation of law, played in the fight for his right to a free and appropriate public education. In his 10th Circuit ruling, Judge Gorsuch eviscerated the educational standard guaranteed by the IDEA. His interpretation requires that a school provide an education to a disabled child that is just above meaningless. His minimalistic interpretation of federal law in Luke's case has been used to deny an appropriate public education to countless other disabled children in the 10th Circuit over the last 9 years. Legal philosophy and case law aside, such an interpretation clearly fails the common sense test. Why would Congress pass a law with such a trivial intent? And why would a parent settle for an education for any of their children, regardless of their abilities or challenges? To quote Chief Justice Roberts from yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, when all is said and done, a student offered an educational program providing merely more than de minimis progress from year to year can hardly be said to be offered an education at all. On behalf of all children, disabled, typical, and gifted, I urge you to deny confirmation of Judge Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court of the United States.
He's referencing there that earlier this week, while Gorsuch was testifying, the Supreme Court unanimously overturned that finding. And he made a point that I didn't hear, and maybe it was brought up by some of the other senators, that not only was he willing to overturn the administrative finding and undercut the experts in this, but why would Congress pass a law? Why would they go through the trouble of passing a law that if your child has special needs, all that need be is that the school just more or less project that they're providing you an education, right? I mean, that's the one little notch above de minimis. Just that they, I don't know, they change a door. They make some nod in that direction. Why would
they paint
Congress,
an accessibility sign without actually making it accessible?
Why would Congress go to the trouble of painting of making a law that was to have so little impact? But that is, this, he is an ideologue, and which is fine. It is Donald Trump's prerogative to appoint an ideologue. I would have loved Barack Obama to have appointed a left-wing ideologue. But make no mistake about it, when he goes to the court and talks about his fealty and just calling balls and strikes, he's an ideologue. Hey, everybody, Sam Seder here.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. Believe me. It's true.
It is true, and you can subscribe to this channel by subscribing to this channel. It's true.